G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Sunday, the 15th of August 2021, and the time here is 10:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, plenty going on. I'll do the sponsor and we'll get right into it. Okay guys, here's my sponsor, Totally Rawsome, who make golden activated turmeric paste, amongst other things. You scroll across the top, you'll see the different stuff you can get there. Look, if you haven't tried golden activated turmeric paste, you are missing out. Everybody I've referred this to totally agrees it is dynamic. It works well for inflammation, especially in my knee joints. Used to be rugby, etc., karate, and it's helped unimaginably, folks. They also make turmeric for your dogs. My dog takes it and it works really well for him as well. Now, if you want to get hold of them, here's their contact details: info@totallyrawsome.com.au, or you can go to any one of these places on the left and go and see them yourselves if you're on the Gold Coast, etc. Okay. Why do I look like this? Very simply, I had an accident with liquid nails, whereas I was down to get a haircut anyway, but I put down some flooring in the house, like I'm rebuilding my house, so I put down some flooring, and you put down the liquid nails to stop it squeaking, and put it down, and I had to climb underneath it to fix something up, and put my head in a pile of liquid nails. Now, if you've ever touched liquid nails, or you know what liquid nails is like, you ain't getting it out of your hair. It's like chewing gum. And I had this big ball of it, like in the back of my head, so I had to go, I had to cut all my hair out. So I thought, oh well, while I'm at it, might as well do the whole job. So here I am, shaved, kinda, looking a bit saggy here and there, but who cares? I was 57 yesterday, so I'm not looking too bad, I hope. Look, I am on Getter. Let me show you. If you look up on the top right hand corner there, at Prep Aussie at Getter. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but if you want to start sending me stuff there, go for your life. I won't be using my phone to do it. I'm going to explain why in a minute. Sorry, just having a cup of tea. So let's get into that first of all. Why won't I be using Getter on a phone? Now, over the last couple of months, I've made some pretty bold predictions. And some of those predictions were based on gut feeling and just reading articles here and there around the world about what's going on with China. Now, China is becoming more and more belligerent, to the point whereas, if you take Nazis, China, not much different, folks. Propaganda's pretty well the same, holding their people, gun against their head and all that sort of stuff. Putting people in detention camps, etc., running around the world, making friends with shitty nations. You only had to look recently to what happened to the American consular official who went to China, and was lambasted. And in the very next week, I think it was a couple of days later, they sat the head of the Taliban in the same chair and met with the head of the Taliban. Just think of optics. What does that optics tell you? It tells you that they don't give a shit what the US thinks. And if you're sitting with the head of the Taliban, who is, by the way, not the leader of Afghanistan, what does that tell you? That you're dealing with a bunch of shitheads, basically. And that's what they are. They're a bunch of shitheads. So look, I'm going to show you some stuff right now. Okay. And then I'm going to read 2 Bible verses. And remember, I'm not religious, but these seem to play in my mind all the time at the moment. And I thought I'd read them out to you just so you could get perhaps a non-religious view, or listen to a non-religious person speak these words to see what you hear and what you think. I'd be interested in what people think about these 2 Bible verses. So let's go to the news first. As I said, I'm on Getter. Go to Getter. Now here's as I said before, go on the ABC search engine, ABC News Australia, type in Taiwan. Now, any people who mention the word Taiwan get lambasted. But look at this, Indonesia. Now this really shocked me, because China has virtually had a naval presence in Indonesia for the last couple of years, basically, whether it's been a destroyer or, you know, whatever. They've had a boat there. They keep rotating boats in and out, if you're paying attention. Excuse me. And this one threw me, because I thought, and I still kind of do a bit, think that Indonesia would have thrown their hat in with China. So this headline threw me a lot. Indonesia commits to South China Sea defense with US as India and Germany send warships to the region. Now, what is not written there, I'll probably find it if I scroll down, but I'll just tell you. The United Kingdom has sent a flotilla of boats to the South China Sea on permanent secondment, i.e. they're not coming back. So what do you think? Let's go to the optics again. What do you think is happening here? What is the end game? What are they trying to achieve? The UK, which is not in the South China Sea, it's up here somewhere, right? It's bloody gazillion miles away. What are they doing in the South China Sea on a permanent secondment? Now, the only bases they can use are Singapore and Darwin. But now Indonesia's got involved. They could possibly port in New Zealand, in Indonesia. So it's a very interesting. Oh, you've got the Philippines as well. Sorry, it's very interesting what's going on at the moment up there. Australia has also committed in the, what do they call it? The pack, the 4 countries, of having a permanent sailing ship there as well. Permanent. So it's going to keep going. There'll be just a changeover. They're just going to keep sailing through there all the time to prove to China that they can, which is kind of a worry. So this is coming to a head. Now, where am I going with this? Okay, look what's going on in Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan is going to fall to the Taliban. No 2 ways about it. Kabul is literally days away from falling away to the Taliban. So what happens when the Taliban takes it over? Well, China, their friend, I'm assuming this was discussed at the meeting where the fat little teddy bear was sitting with the Kabul dictator from the Taliban, that China would give them great assistance if they took over Kabul, i.e. Afghanistan. So I expect to see Chinese troops land in Afghanistan a couple of weeks after the fact that they've taken over Afghanistan. Whereas you've got at the same time American troops trying to fly out because they're just sending back 5,000 troops. I don't think and I'm being honest here, I don't think any of those troops are ever going to arrive, because the Taliban, if they're smart, are going to make sure that they don't get near the airport. So what's that mean? They're going to take over the roads, they're going to take over everything around the airport. You won't be able to get in or out of there. No planes are coming in or out. So all those people that are in there now are going to get stuck in there. Now, there'll be a big hullabaloo about, oh, you know, American planes trying to fly in and getting shot at or whatever, you know what I mean? But Afghanistan doesn't care. Taliban don't care. China, they don't care. You're going to witness one of the greatest historical governmental stuff-ups in world history in the next couple of days, weeks, maybe days. So be prepared, for what you're going to see is going to be totally shocking. And I mean totally shocking. It's going to shock the world what these guys are going to do. They're going to be unmerciless because they've got the backing of China. And they don't care. Right, so I'll leave that at that. If you know anyone in Taiwan, by the way, you better tell them to get out of there, because China is not going to take it peacefully. That's a load of bullshit. They literally are attacking it every single day, flying over it, putting troop carrier things around it every day, you know, the whole remit. So if you know anyone in Taiwan who has the wherewithal to get out, get out. Simple as that. Right, so let's talk pandemic, if it's a pandemic. Here in Australia, we have troops being deployed to stop people getting out of their houses. Now, the interesting fact here is that Australian troops are not, by law, allowed to either arrest or fire on an Australian citizen. That's the law. So, if you're sitting in the US, UK, etc., and you're watching this, now, you guys laughed at me when I made a bold prediction a while ago, because if you're unaware, you know, you've got Australia, but we've got New South Wales. In New South Wales is the Australian Capital Territory, where Canberra is. It's actually in New South Wales, but it's a territory on its own. So because the politicians decided that's where they were going to place it years ago, that's what it is. It's an Australian Capital Territory, or the Australian Capital Territory, governed by different people. It's not New South Wales, it's the Australian Capital Territory. Now, you guys laughed at me when I said, when you see the ring of steel go around the Australian Capital Territory, then you know that this is all going pear-shaped. So what's happened in the last week? The ACT has announced a full lockdown for 7 days, and the Australian government has called out the Australian troops for New South Wales, which is going around the ACT. They're not worried about New South Wales people. They're worried about their own asses in ACT, getting COVID and shit. Now, here's the big thing that no one is connecting the dots to, which you need to understand. New South Wales and Victoria are both in lockdown at the moment. New South Wales is getting out of control, massively. And by out of control, I mean they've got masses of COVID cases. Not many deaths, by the way, but apparently enough. I think they've had 3 90-year-old people die and a 40-year-old, and the mind boggles. But anyway, look, what do you think is not being spoken about? The fact that New South Wales, Sydney and Victoria, Melbourne, are the two main distribution hubs for Australia. Now, you can't come across the border anymore from New South Wales to Queensland. I hope you understand that in America. That's like saying you're living in Florida and you want to go out of Florida, but you can't. You're not allowed to leave Florida, even though you're in your own country. So I can't. I live 4 k's from the border, Queensland, New South Wales border. I'm in Queensland. I can't go across the border. Can't drive across it, can't walk across it, can't fly across it. There's no, it's shut. So what do you think is going to happen to distribution? And I said this many months ago when this all started and no one listened to me. It's going to grind to a halt. So we are literally days away. The majority of people have 3 days food in their cupboards and fridges. So we are literally days away, a week, from massive problems in Australia. Now, the problem is that they've told all the drivers, everybody, that they have to have a COVID test before they come over the border, and they have to have a COVID test when they're at the border to be free of COVID, or even if it doesn't even matter, even if you've had your vaccine. So the drivers from the distribution centres are catching COVID, but they can't drive the trucks anymore. So can you imagine the chaos that's ensuing behind the scenes at the moment, where they're going, how the hell are we going to get these food and stuff out? Now, if you're astute, which I know you are, some of you, you would have been walking through the aisles of your supermarket lately. You just notice things aren't there. Not major items, sometimes major items, but not major items. You know, oh, where's this? Oh, must be out the back. Come in. No, it's not there, mate. We haven't got any. You're going to see more and more of that in the coming weeks. So this is going to get bad. And they don't care. They don't care. So I don't even know how they're going to actually just distribute the stuff from New South Wales to Queensland, because you can't get across the border. God knows what they're thinking. And they've said essential services can come across, but you can't because you've got to have a COVID test. And if you don't pass a COVID test, the truck sits on the side of the road and the guy gets quarantined. Well, what happens to the truck with all the food in it? So slowly but surely, these things are happening, exactly like I said they were a year ago. Now, here's the other thing that you guys all laughed at me about. Vaccine passports. Now, when this all, Western Australia, which is on that west coast of Australia, it's like the California of Australia, yesterday said that you cannot enter Western Australia now unless you have a vaccine passport. Straight up. So even after all this is finished, if I want to fly to Western Australia, I can't. Now, here's the other amazing thing. They are now actively, all states are actively talking about shutting their states down to people who don't have the passport, who don't have the vaccine. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't eat. You can't go out to have a beer. You can't do anything, which doesn't worry me one iota because I don't give a shit. They are actually, when you start seeing security guards or whatever, maybe even the army, at your local shopping centre asking for you to produce your vaccine passport, then you can turn around and say, bloody hell, Prep was right. Now, this is where it leads me into these two Bible verses. So I'm going to read them now, and you guys tell me, just in your comments, because I'm not religious. I'm not really religious, folks. But I'll get read something from religion, and I'll remember it if it's pertinent. I'm not like one of these guys that can recite Bible verses or anything like that. Even the Lord's Prayer, I have to read it every week because I can't remember it. It's kind of something to do with ADHD or something, I guess. I don't know, but I just can't remember it. So I'm not a Bible scholar at all, not religious at all. So let me read these to you now. Okay, folks, this is Luke 12 from the New King James Version. I'm going to read the first bit, and then I'm going to scroll down the page a bit. In the meantime, when an innumerable multitude of people had gathered together, so that they trampled one another, he began to say to his disciples, first of all, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you have spoken in the ear in inner rooms will be proclaimed on the rooftops. And I say to you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after he has killed, has power to cast into hell. Yes, I say to you, fear him. Also, I say to you, whoever confesses me before men, him, the Son of Man, also confesses before the angels of God. But he who denies me before men will be denied before the angels of God. And anyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But to him who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit, it will not be forgiven. Now I'm just going to go down the bottom here. Christ brings division. I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. Do you suppose that I came to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division. For from now on, 5 in one house will be divided against 3, against 2, and 2 against 3. Father will be divided against son, and son against father. Mother against daughter, and daughter against mother. Mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Right, and now I'm going to read this one, folks. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound has healed. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he has granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. Wow. And the reason I'm reading that is because remember the mobile phone you got? Or you know the mobile phone you got? Or the one you may have gotten rid of? Or the one you might get rid of? That's going to have the vaccine passport, and that's going to be your passport. And where does most people hold that thing? In their right hand. Think about that. That's why I read that. So either A, someone took a wild guess many years ago about the right hand stuff, or B, it's accurate. Have a think about that. Let your mind read those words and understand what I think I'm understanding. In my right hand, I hold the mark of the beast, which is a mobile phone which is going to have the COVID app on it. Can't make this shit up, folks. Okay, let's do the Lord's Prayer and then we're finished. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Think about it. That's all I'm going to say. God bless all. Prep out.